So welcome to the show, Renad. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was a nice experience, with you.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to kind of jump in and kind of share with our listeners a bit more about who you are and what your journey's been like, how we met, why we was working together and all of this kind of stuff. But before we do you want to just quickly introduce yourself for me?
Yeah, so my name is Renad, and I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm a computer science student, information systems. My education trip was kind of long. I went from chemical engineering and switched to computer, and you know, um, but now I'm doing really good.
Awesome. So obviously, again, for our listeners, we've got somebody else that's in Saudi. Obviously, I'm in the UK now, and our listeners won't know kind of how we met or kind of what we're really about to be talking about. So just to give a bit of context, Renad and I met last year, and it was through your coaching journey that obviously that we got to know each other. But before we jump into that, can you tell us what was life like before that, before we ever met? Tell me about you, your story.
Yeah, so before we met, I was in a state of really, I was very depressed. I didn't know how to control my thoughts. I didn't know how to manage them. And I would just go into a spiral of negative thoughts. And I wasn't feeling good in general. And I was in a very, very low point in my life at that time before we started coaching. And I've been also going to other therapists to see if someone can actually help me. I was also trying to seek medications because I was feeling for a long time I've been feeling this low and nothing's been helping me. And I just wanted something because I know it wasn't normal to feel this way. And at some points in my life, I felt like this was normal. Not being really sad, being really depressed was a normal. Until I was like, no, this is not okay. I shouldn't be feeling like this. And then, so I started with a therapist, but I didn't feel like I was very hesitant to start medication because I've been on medication before for a long time, and I didn't really like the side effects because it leaves you very numb and very emotionless and very I didn't like the side effects of the medications I took. So my friend told me about you guys, and I checked the page, and I was like, this is what I need because I need to be able to manage it. And even if some situation happens in my life and let's say the future, I can be able to manage it and be able to overcome it and not be trapped again in that circle of cycle of being depressed, thinking about it. And I was very stuck in the past. When we started, I would only think about the past and what happened in the past and how I was in the past and all of that. I wasn't looking forward to life. I had no motivation, nothing. I was just there was no point of me being here. And it was just a very point. But when we started, kind of gave me hope, and it was we kind of I resonated with you guys, and I was like, I need this, and I know they can help me, and I'm willing to get the help because I need it. And that's when we started talking, when we had our first session, the introductory session. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because that's so real and so raw and so vulnerable. And there'll be a lot of people listening that have maybe experiencing that now or have experienced it in the past, and they might not be sure that there is hope, right? And it's so powerful you coming on the show, which is one of the reasons why I invited you, because going from there and experience all those feelings to where you are now is such a shift. And the fact that we had a break from coaching, so we kind of finished coaching and you're still having all of these after effects of it in a good way, which we'll jump into in a second. But before we do, how long was you feeling like that before we got in touch and we started coaching? How long was that going on for?
Well, so basically, it started from a while ago, the depression, because I moved away from home to study, and it kind of it was homesickness at first, and then it was more depression, and then I went to the UK for a year, and that's when like things really got worse, and I got other symptoms, and and my life in that period a very dramatic change. So during that time, it was a very huge shift, and everything changed for me, and I had to come back, and it was that change with, because I was such a like I was a really good student. I was really doing well in life. I had a plan of like what I'm gonna do, and when that situation happened, it was like everything I planned for was just vanished, and I was kind of lost. I didn't know who I am because everything me, and I felt completely like this is over, like and I can't do anything about it. And that's how my mentality was, like even if I came here, because I came back to Saudi and I started uni again, but it wasn't like I wasn't very excited. I wasn't very like there is a future for me, there is something to look for. It was just like doing it because this is life and this is what I'm supposed to do, and it wasn't like, it was so bad. The feeling was so bad. And it was for like, that happened like in 2017, 2018, and till the period we met, like we started our session. And I was very lost at the time. Like before we started, I was so lost. I didn't know who I am. Like it was to that point. Like I was like, I used to tell you even like, I don't know I'm as a person, and I don't know like, because it completely shifted everything for me, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing that somebody can suffer for that long, seek help, therapy, medication, and still feeling like there's still work that needs to be done. So, like, I'm so happy that our paths crossed because I've seen what's happened since. But tell us, like, what did you expect? Because I think it's great that you resonated. Obviously, we jumped on a call and we just had just a super casual conversation in the beginning before you even committed to
Mhm.
coaching. So what was you expecting from coaching, especially given your past experience with kind of therapy and medication?
Yeah. So basically, in my past experiences, it was completely different. It was just like checking up on. It's like, I prescribe you this medication, and this is, you're gonna take it. And just how are you doing? And that's it. There's no any coping mechanisms, no like, how to manage it, how to shift your thoughts, how to like, just live like a good life, a good healthy life mentally. And it was, so that was my experience before. And so with you guys, I didn't expect like the things I got from the coaching. I kind of just expected like, I'm gonna feel like normal, I'm okay, and that was it. Like that was about it. Like this is, they're just gonna help me out of this dark hole I'm in right now, um and yeah, that's what I expected in the beginning, but I didn't expect really much. But that, like when we started, I was like, I got more than what I expected, really. And it's also because in the past, like I would expect so much and then I would not get, and I would be like really sad. And so like, I started like being like, no, I'm not gonna expect a lot. I just want, to feel good again. But I also like read the success stories of other clients and like how they, changed, and that was great. But I never really thought it would be me, that same like story, I would expect much of a change. I was just like, yeah, those are them. I'm different, and I'm probably not gonna be like them, but I'm gonna have a bit of help, and that's about it.
And here you
Yeah.
are now sharing your very own story. Like that's
Okay.
so awesome. I love it. Listen, so you come in, obviously you lowered your own expectations just because you wanted to almost manage yourself. So what did you want to achieve? Because I know deep down there you said like that you'd seen other people and you thought you might be able to have a bit of that success, but maybe not entirely. What did you want to achieve underneath it all?
So basically, I wanted to like get out of like, you know, the depression and like the no motivation, no anything. I wanted to be, I wanted to manage like to do like to study like I used to. I didn't study as much before. To manage my day, like I have certain things and I do them. You know, I used to like just, I don't know how to say it, but just live life like, you know, I didn't have a plan. It was just like, you know, this is how it goes, you know. But I wanted something to be planned. I wanted to have like a clear like vision of like, you know, where the next step is. I didn't want to just be like, you know, lost and not knowing what to do. So yeah.
Perfect. So obviously, like you've come in, you've got your expectations where they were, you know what you want to achieve. So what was it like for you when you started? Like when did you start noticing the changes as well?
So when we talked about the thoughts and how you can control them, and I realized that like, you know, I'm responsible of how I want to like recite my own story. I'm responsible of how I want to feel. Like before I didn't really take on that responsibility. Like I almost kind of gave up when I played victim of everything that's happening around me, instead of like owning up to what happened, owning up to how I'm feeling. It's if I'm feeling sad, okay, I'm feeling sad, but what am I gonna do about it? You know, it's like I'd always ask myself, why am I feeling sad, but never like, well, what am I gonna do about it? I'm like, no, you know. And that's when that shifted. Like it was almost in like with the thought diary and like with changing your thoughts. It was like it was so crazy to me, and it was like literally any thought, like negative thought would pass, I would actually see it, like, you know, and I can be able to like just accept it and let it go. Like it was amazing. And that changed a lot of things for me, you know, like having that control over your life.
That's huge because it's not feeling in control of your life is a scary place to be. I've personally been there. You've shared obviously that you have too, and I'm sure people listening have felt like that at times. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable and it's just not needed when we start to understand what we can control and what we can't. And one of the things that you just referred to there was like a thought diary, which is part of an exercise I give you at the very beginning to help you to observe what is happening, what is this narrative, what is actually happening, or what do we think is happening, because they could be very different things sometimes. And it's
Yeah,
anybody listening, you can do that now yourself, like from today for the next week, literally just write down all the thoughts that pop up and just then you can check in and see how you can start to tweak them. And you did that fantastically well, Renad, from the very beginning. You was able to, like you said, literally like see those thoughts that were coming up, but then the fact that you started to pick up on the linguistics and the language that you was using with yourself, just changing the
yeah.
direction of how you're asking questions and the quality of the questions you're asking yourself, like it really has an impact. And you said there like it's changed a lot of things for you. What has it changed for you?
What it changed, like, you know, first of all, how I see things. Like before I realized like most of what I'm saying isn't true in real life, you know, I'm just seeing it in a different way. Like I'm taking things and making them seem like different. My relationships has been better. My like the way like even my motivation, you know, if sometimes I do something, I become like I feel so bad for myself for a whole week. But now it's like, okay, I didn't do that. That's okay. And I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm gonna start working on it. And so that's one of the examples of how it changed a lot of things. And also like they're just the quality of my life in general. You know, it's become so much better. I've become more confident, more happier even, because something happens. Like, you know, it's like I'm just observing like how this scenario, it's like I'm kind of rediscovering myself, and it really helped me like discover myself again. It's I feel like discovering yourself and knowing who you truly are is a life journey. And you won't know it like in a certain time, but it really helped me with that. And um, and also being able to shift how I see things. If I think in a way that I know it's hurting me, like I'm not feeling good about it, of how I'm, feeling, I can just shift how, I feel towards that thing. Just like with a single thought, like just one word, you change from what you're saying to yourself in your head, and it changes everything.
It does. And the premise for that, just to give it a bit of context, is the understanding that we are always feeling what we're thinking. And that
Yeah.
might be new to some people, because I never used to know that either. And I always thought, well, this is just how I feel. All right. It's just what it is. I have to accept it. Like you said at the beginning, life is normal. This is what everybody feels like,
Mhm.
maybe, but it's not. Like, we really do have the control to be able to check in with our thoughts and see how they're making us feel, because we're reacting. Our emotions are a reaction to what we're thinking about. And just to be clear, like, on one of the things that you said there, you said it perfectly, was about just one word could shift so much. And it's not about it just becoming a positive word, right? So it's not like we ever said, okay, when you feel sad, let's say I feel happy instead. It's
Yeah,
not about positive thinking, was it? It was more about resourceful thinking, wasn't it?
yeah, exactly. It was resourceful thinking.
What would you say is resourceful thinking? How would you describe that to someone?
Um, I'd say resourceful thinking is a way how, like, if you see something, a problem, or you're faced with a problem or a thought or whatever it is, that thing you're facing with, just think like, what can I do about it? Instead of like, trying to analyze, because I used to like really analyze how I'm feeling and like why I'm feeling that way. And it's okay, it's good to know, but like it's more of like, what are you gonna do now? Like, um and, and like, yeah.
And that's perfect, because that's exactly it, isn't it? It's like you said, it's about knowing it, being aware of how you're feeling, but then making a conscious choice of how that's going to continue to affect you or not. So if you feel sad one day, that's okay. Feel sad, right? There's no
Yeah,
need to analyze it necessarily, but you can learn from it, and you can decide when that moment ends,
exactly.
when a new one begins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what was the whole kind of coaching process like for you? Like, what was your favorite part of coaching and why?
um I'd say everything, like every part, like every like month of the 4 months, was it had its own like, thing. Like the first month, that would like, just being more conscious, being like, your emotions, your thoughts and everything, and then being able to like, manage them. And then the life pacing, like in the end, where we try to go back into like just releasing the emotion, like past experiences and emotions and thoughts, and like what we learned in the past. All of them like were really great. The whole journey, like from beginning to start, was amazing. Like it all had like, really nice like parts, because you can see it, and it was so well like, um planned, and like uh, you know every like part like really worked with the other, so you can really see your progress. You can really like, it just makes sense. The whole thing makes sense, and it's a really nice experience.
Thank you for sharing that, because I also work with a lot of coaches as well. And one of the things they often are struggling with is how to piece together a coaching process and what that looks like. Excuse me. And that coaching process really is the most important part, because it, like you said, you need to be able to see that you're progressing. You need to see how things kind of connect and how they work together. So I'm so happy that you felt that on the other side as well, because that's the most powerful part, is when you see how it's unfolding in front of you. Because, as you know, wellness theory, we always talk about lasting change, right? It's about you being able to see exactly behind the curtain and what's going on. We don't feel like it's ethical to just like take you through a bunch of techniques and then off you go, right? There's got to be some context to it for you to be able to take that into the future. So it's so great to hear you to share it like that. You mentioned there about the emotional release part. Now, when people are hearing the word like emotional release. Sometimes they're not really sure what those words mean. They're not sure what that looks like. And often there's a connotation attached to it that, well, if we're letting go of emotion, then I'm going to suffer. I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to have to revisit past traumas. What would you say based on your experience with the type of emotional release work that you've done with us? What was that like?
Yeah, no, it was nothing like that. I was even like nervous at the beginning, like before we started with it, but it was completely different. It was just because when you actually do the emotional release part, you're already like, you've done so much work on yourself that you're actually ready to like, you're in the right place, you're ready to do this. And it's you're just like, just observing like the whole, like, when you go like in the emotion release process, it's just like, you just, and it even happens without you like consciously aware of like, what's happening. It's just like, your mind takes you wherever it wants to take you, and you just release it. And so like it's relieving and it's comfortable, and it's like you feel like, I don't know, lighter like after it, and you feel like, yeah. So it's not stressful, it's not traumatizing, it's not that's not what I experienced. Mine was like very smooth throughout, like the emotional release. um, and sometimes it even like, the things, the experiences you decide to open up about, you would have sometimes you wouldn't know, like you would forgotten about them for like a long time. It's like, I didn't know this happened to me, or I completely forgot about it. But yeah.
That's so great to hear as well, because everybody's experience with emotional release work is very different, and a lot of people do it for different reasons. And it's so important that anybody that is thinking about emotional release understands why it's so necessary. So let me just kind of touch on that a little bit. So whenever we are experiencing stressors in life, usually we are experiencing not only the emotion of the situation we're in, we're also experiencing the emotion of things from the past. And there's like a chain reaction, and we suddenly feel it all at once if we haven't let some of that old negative emotion go and let it resolve. So that's what we're talking about here. And we use a method called timeline paradigm techniques, which is very, very easy and effortless. It's like an interactive meditation, and you do exactly what you've just said there. And you go back on kind of, and you allow yourself to open up to anything that could be affecting you today. And not only do we do that with emotions, we do it with beliefs as well, don't we?
Yeah.
What was your experience around changing beliefs that you had about yourself or the world around you?
um like the thing is with me, like sometimes you wouldn't know that that's a limiting belief because you really believe in it, that you don't know it's natural, like it's a limiting, it's not true about yourself. So it was kind of like, eye-opening for me to like know like certain things, or certain, you know like I don't know how to say it, but words you describe yourself with, or like with your surroundings that are not entirely true, and they're kind of holding you down from achieving what you want to achieve in your life. And yeah.
When we believe things about ourselves that aren't necessarily true, that's when we come disconnected from who it is we feel that we are. It's like maybe we know that we're good enough, but there's a part of me that doesn't believe it. And I use that example because it's such a common one. And everybody, that's a big generalization, but most people really do believe that they're not good enough at some point in their life. And that could be later in life, early in life. It's just a very common one, which is why I bring it up now. But there's plenty of other limiting beliefs out there, like I'm not smart enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, I can't be consistent. There's so many. And it's about somebody identifying what theirs are. So do you remember what any of your limiting beliefs were?
I remember it was also like, when I can't be consistent, I'm not good enough, um, you know, I'm not outgoing, Those were like one of the things I wrote about. Um, but yeah, it's just like, like even with the consistency and like that was like I'm always quiet, for example, and that was like a belief, like, and as soon as you identify it and like realize it, and then you observe yourself, like, am I actually this thing I'm saying I am? Is this actually like, because sometimes I wouldn't do a lot of things because I believe that I'm not, this type of person. I'm not the consistent person, so I'm not gonna, set schedules or like, all of that. So yeah, or I wouldn't start on a journey because I know I'm not gonna be good enough for that thing that I want to do. Um,
So
yeah,
what do you believe now? Because that's obviously what you did believe. What's going on in your world now? What do you believe?
now it's like no, there is nothing like setting me back. I don't identify myself with certain like, like there are no limiting beliefs for me now. Like, if I want to do anything, I can do it. Even if I'm not good at it in the beginning, that's normal, No one's born to like great or, it's a learning process. It's sometimes you try something new and you don't like it and you go on trying something else. And yeah.
I just love listening to you talk now. Like it's just such a turnaround from obviously when we first started. And just to highlight one thing you said there so well was I don't identify with that anymore. And that's so powerful because when we identify with the words that we speak, we either feel really good or we don't. Right. And that's pretty much the two outcomes that we have. And you've chosen to align yourself with an identity that actually now serves you and serves what you actually want in life. And that's such a gift you've given to yourself. It's honestly like it's so powerful, and I'm so excited to kind of see what's next for you. On that note, like what does life look like now?
It's really good. It's really, really good. I mean, it's not like, I suddenly became this person or like, no, I am who I am. And I've became a better version of myself. My life is the way it is. My surroundings are the same. Nothing has changed. Nothing like, I didn't move and go to a different place. I'm where I am, but I feel so much different. I feel so much better and I'm doing a lot of things. My motivation is back. Like just the simple things around me, like I appreciate now. And I've been like, I have a schedule, like, I have things to do and I have things to, look forward to. Uni has been good. Um, and just like it's not like how it was before where it was just like me waking up to a gloomy day and I'm just feeling sad and I'm just feeling no, now it's like no, I actually have something to look forward to. I have something to work on. To even sometimes, like, the thing is with this life coaching journey is like, even if sometimes you wake up and you don't feel that great, that's okay, not all your days have to be perfect, and it's okay if you spend all day in bed because you're tired, and that's fine. And some days are going to be great and you're going to do a lot of things and you're going to achieve a lot of things that make you happy, and some days you're not. But it's appreciating those small wins, like you used to say, like, um, focus on the small wins, focus on like what you have done in your life and what you appreciate as well.
That's awesome because like celebrating your wins is something I've been talking about for like years, like decades now, I think. And it's something that's so profound. And even like in business, in personal growth, in anything, it's so important that we do acknowledge those wins. And because like you said, perfectly again is we're humans. We are going to have days that are amazing and we can feel like superheroes, and we're going to have other days where actually just getting through the day is enough. And that is absolutely perfect, because that's the whole human experience, right? We're supposed to feel the whole spectrum of emotions and states and energy levels and this kind of stuff. It's how we manage them and what we do with them that makes all the difference. And you've been able to really like keep it going, keep it consistent even after coaching kind of finished, which is fantastic. So listen, if anybody was listening to this and they was thinking about coaching, what would you say to them?
I would say, if you're thinking about it, and if sometimes like even just thinking about it means like you've taken that first step, you're interested now, and just see like, is it something I really want? Am I gonna accept the help I'm gonna receive? Am I willing to like, put in the effort? Because it's not like I'm not gonna do anything about it and they're just gonna help me. No, they're just gonna guide you through the journey, through, they're not gonna help, like it is helping, but like they're gonna guide you, they're more like guiding you towards a better life. But you're gonna do a lot of the work yourself. So are you ready to do that? Are you gonna be like responsible for doing that? And it's an amazing journey, and it's one of those things where even if you're in a good position in your life, and if you're not having like really big events that happened, or like, it's really good to even like, because I see it all around me. Sometimes you're not aware of your thoughts, or how to control them, or how to manage them, or how to, just like manage your life in general, and it's a really great tool. Like, we've learned so many skills together, and like she shared with me a lot of skills, and like things that I can do, exercises that I can do if I'm like faced with certain situations, how to manage my thoughts, how to, you know, um, just in general have a better quality of life, and also doing the things that resonate with me as a person, and it's all about like, connecting mind, body, and like, soul together, and doing the things that are for you, and I feel that's gonna help a lot, and it's a really, really great journey. For being able to do it with, you guys, and I've learned so much. I grew so much after like our 4 months together, and I'd recommend it for a lot of people. It's something that I really, really appreciate, and it has changed so many things about myself and how I viewed my surroundings.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that and for saying that. It really, obviously, it lights us up in terms of like what we do as well. But it's just so lovely to hear that, because I wish I'd have heard that when I needed a coach, because
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I needed to know. Right. So many people, they'll express interest in coaching and then not show up for a call. They'll express interest for coaching and they think that you're going to just magically fix everything overnight. And the reality is coaching is work, like you said, but it's good work, it's helpful work, it's profound work that can really make incredible changes, and you've got to be willing to do what it takes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the interesting thing is like in the beginning when you start, you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but you just do it. And then you actually see the changes, and you actually see like that, how it's affecting you and how it's making you better. Just, it's great.
What now you've kind of been through this process and this journey, you've learned so much, and I've no doubt you're going to continue growing even more. But what's next for you? Like what does the future look like for you, and how are you going to use the things that you've learned together in coaching into your future?
Well, like I've been using it now. Like, we stopped our coaching like a while ago, and it's just like, for me now, I can like, with uni and things, I'm settled. I know like what I have to do, and what like, the things I need to get done. And in my life, like, now I can like actually like manage things, and I can think about the things that, I want to do for myself. Sometimes, in the past, like, I have things that I didn't want to do, but I'm just doing them, I don't know why. But now it's like more of like, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm doing it. And it's all about, making those choices, making those steps to, like, um, and seeing that, future you want to have. you know I want to graduate. It's gonna happen eventually. But also, like, in my daily life, and that was the most major thing for me. I wanted to see changes on the daily. I didn't want to have that, goal in the end that I wanted to achieve. It was more of, on a day-to-day basis, I want to feel a certain way, and it happened, and I'm able to manage it, and I'm able to, like, use the things we learned to get, like you taught me, and I've been using it on a daily basis. um, and it's really amazing. There are a lot of things, like, if you decide to take on this journey with Charlotte, there are a lot of things that you're going to learn, and a lot of things you were not aware of. And it's just going to open up so much, and you're going to grow a lot, like, with this journey.
Thank you again for sharing that. It's honestly, like, what you've learned, what you've taken on in really a short period of time is something that sometimes it takes people lifetimes to figure out on their own. And that's what I truly believe part of the power of coaching is that you get to where you want to be faster because somebody's either been there before or qualified to do so. And that's the almost the golden part of the coaching, is the kind of the time element to it. The other thing I want to point out with you is, like, it's not only been a change for you, because you have now obviously recommended us to work with others, and there's a knock-on effect to that as well, and I want to thank you for that, because it's so important that we have this ripple effect happen. And I have no doubt that regardless if anyone even more that's coaching with us, but more in the sense of everybody you speak to now is going to be influenced by how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're showing up in the world. So long after graduation, you're going to be having such a positive impact out in the world as you already are today. And I think that's so commendable for the time and effort that you put in for yourself. It's such a selfless thing to do, and you don't always know it at the time as well. And I think it's fantastic. One of the things you said before we hit record today is, when we come on the call, obviously the listeners wouldn't have heard this, but when we come on the call, she said, I wanted to tell you that, the exercise we did at the end, like my perfect day. Well, I've had a perfect month, and it's like been awesome. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So one of the exercises we did was to just, for the life pacing, is to do a perfect day, like write down your perfect day and how it looks like. And so lately I've had like a perfect month where every day was perfect, where every day, like, was exactly like the way I've written it and how I wanted my perfect day to be. And even though, like, sometimes some days where, like, some things happen, but it's how you see it and how you, like, it's okay. I'm feeling good about it, and it's for me, like, being able to, doing things in my day and, like, achieving things. I've been, like, exercising, eating clean, um, I get my work done, and all of that, like, for it to happen consistent in a month, was an amazing thing. I spent time with my family, yeah, and it was amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Like, and that's the
and
thing.
do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Anyone can do that, right? When they really start to work on this quality of thinking, their priorities in life, how they feel, how they're communicating, all those things, because they play such a big role in the the longevity of the results that you have. And we always talk about like stress compounding, right, and stress adding up, but the wins add up too. And the more we have like a good quality thought and then another good quality thought and then this resourceful feeling over here, it adds up and it adds up and it adds up, and all of a sudden you're living in this world.
Think to that, to like the small wins instead of the failure side. It's like your whole like focus would be like, oh, did I make a win? Like, is there a, because when I started, like, I wouldn't consider the things I've been doing wins. And I even like, as many times I would be like, no, this is amazing, this is good. And for me, I was like, oh, is it really? Yeah, I mean, and then that's, it would get me excited to do more, because those small wins, the ones you don't notice, and the ones that if you celebrate those, and if that's because in the end those things, as you said, add up, and it becomes really great, and you become yeah.
They do, yeah, definitely. And I think you are living proof that that is the case. And I'm so happy that you've come on today and, allowed us to record this conversation, because I think it's going to help so many people that might have experienced or be experiencing something similar to you, and that there is hope, and that there is something they can do about it.
Definitely. Like, I was at a time where, like, I was really hopeless. I was really like, it was a very, very dark place. And I want everyone hearing this that's going through something similar, that there is hope, there is reason, there is hope, and, you can find help, and, you're going to get it. And yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again for coming on today's show. And thank you not only for obviously coming on the show, but for allowing me to be part of your coaching journey as well. And, we'll forever stay in touch now anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much for being, my life coach. And it was an amazing journey. It was, yeah.
Bless you. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to, like, I don't know, come and find you or ask you questions or anything like that, are you on social media? Can they reach you anywhere?
Yeah, I am.
Do you want to share where they can find you, or no?
Yeah, on Instagram. It's Renad Almotairi.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Listen, just in case, right, because you're an inspiring young woman, and I think that you're one to watch in terms of the incredible things you're going to go out and do in the world. And sometimes personal growth isn't just about things like coaching, it's about having role models, and you are definitely a role model for the people you surround yourself with. So I really hope that anybody listening does come and check you out, and reaches out if they need something as well.
Yeah.